matters are fast-moving.
Unlike other big rallies,
Bit earlier at about 7 a.m., a group from the Coast Guard.
Welcome to #PH Vote 2013.
Today on Rappler, the National Treasury says there's no cash left in the Malampaya Fund. The government probes reports local officials are hoarding relief goods for quake victims. And France and Mexico want the United States to answer new allegations of spying.
Hello, I'm Maria Ressa. Welcome to Rappler, your social news network. During a briefing at the Senate, National Treasurer Rosalia De Leon says there's, quote, no cash left in the multi-billion peso Malampaya Fund. Several weeks ago, Senator Ralph Recto asked the Budget Department to explain why 137 billion pesos in cash from the fund was missing. Then, De Leon said the billions from the fund remain, in her words, perfectly intact. On Monday, De Leon says there is no more cash in the Malampaya Fund. But she adds the money was commingled in the general fund, making the 137 billion pesos still available for appropriation when needed. This means cash will be made available if an expenditure needs to be funded. The Bureau of Treasury maintains a special account for the Malampaya Fund called Fund 151. It accounts for the royalties earned by the Malampaya project. The Bureau also continues to monitor expenditure items charged against Fund 151. Budget Secretary Butchabad says the cash portion from the Malampaya Fund was used to fund the national budget. The Malampaya gas project is the single biggest investment in the Philippines, with proceeds amounting to 170 billion pesos over the years. Less than 25 billion pesos was spent during the Arroyo administration, while 15 billion pesos was used under Aquino. Senator Miriam Santiago wants proceeds from the Malampaya gas project, the Philippine Charity Sweepstakes Office, and the Philippine Amusement and Gaming Corporation, or PAGCOR, out of the President's discretionary funds. These are off-budget funds not included in the annual appropriation laws and spent based on presidential orders. On Monday, Santiago files a Senate resolution for the funds to be included in the Budget of Expenditures and Sources of Financing, or BESF. The BESF report details where government revenues will come from and how these are proposed to be used for the following year. Santiago says the Malampaya Fund, the PCSO Charity Fund, and the PAGCOR Social Fund are, quote, used, distributed, and disbursed outside the budget process, which she says is unconstitutional. With a 219 to 22 vote, the House of Representatives approves the proposed 2.268 trillion peso budget for 2014. The 2014 General Appropriations Bill now waits for Senate approval. Deliberations on the proposed 2014 budget were done at the height of scandals on the alleged misuse of billions worth of lawmakers' funds. Before the proposed bill was approved on committee level, House members agreed to realign their 25.2 billion peso pork barrel to 6 line agencies. Lawmakers may only issue recommendations on soft projects like scholarships and healthcare. For hard projects like infrastructure, lawmakers need to submit proposed subjects, which are included as line items in the budget. The House retains lump sum appropriations for the Office of the President, including the Calamity Fund. A week and a day after a magnitude 7.2 quake hit Central Visayas, the province of Cebu pours relief efforts into its badly hit neighbor, Bohol. With Cebu province in a stabilized state, stabilized state, its local disaster unit sends rescue teams and resources into the towns of Loon, Maribojoc, and Antiguera, the hardest hit among Bohol's municipalities. Cebu is now one of the staging points for relief goods to enter Bohol, which is now under a state of calamity. Neil Sanchez of the Cebu Provincial Disaster Risk Reduction and Emergency Management says he plans to push for the creation of a central Visayas-wide disaster management cluster to allow provincial and local governments to help neighboring communities. The death toll from the earthquake rises to at least 190, with damage to infrastructure pegged at 902 million pesos. More than 73,000 families in Bohol affected by the magnitude 7.2 earthquake need help. Interior Secretary Mar Rojas warns mayors and barangay officials do not hoard the goods. Voltaire Tupas reports.
Interior and Local Government Secretary Mar Roas is angry over reports local officials in Bohol are hoarding relief goods. He orders the Philippine National Police to conduct a probe.
Huwag ho nating haluan ng politika ito. The ILG National Government will exercise its supervisory powers kung mapapatunayan na pinipili po ninyo kung sino ang tutulungan ninyo.
From the province to the towns, the flow of relief goods is fast. The DSWD and provincial government say they ensure that goods are flown in or brought to poblations by land.
Alam ho namin kung ano ang dami ng mga food packs na lumalabas mula dito sa Kapitolyo at sa DSWD. Alam din ho namin kung sino ang mga tumatanggap nito at the municipal and barangay levels. May mga targeted beneficiaries po yan.
The problem starts in town centers. Many affected families from villages and even those in evacuation centers in town plazas complain water and food don't reach them. 68-year-old Rodolfo Riquillo and his 16 relatives sought refuge in front of a government building. He is not able to complain to the DILG secretary who passes by their makeshift shelter. He talks to us.
Hindi man namin natinggap. Para bang diskarga, discharge, ito. Hindi namin nalaman kung saan galing, saan punta yung mga goods. Hindi natin iwasan yung mga reklamo. Pamulitik kayo.
Mel Castro, a Facebook user from the previously isolated town of Maribojoc, also complains her grandparents have not received relief goods. Castro says in a viral post, "When I visited them for the first time since the earthquake, I found they were not given the relief goods because they could no longer vote." She expresses her outrage at this utter disrespect to my grandparents. Mel says her grandmother never leaves her 92-year-old grandfather who is recovering from a stroke. Their house is badly damaged. Secretary Mar Roas and other national and provincial officials breeze through reopened roads when they visit towns to check the condition of the roads, bridges, and evacuation centers. Maribojoc and other towns in Bohol are now accessible. There is no reason why assistance can't reach these areas. It seems a mix of bureaucratic bottlenecks, lack of systems, and politicking has turned this into a logistical nightmare. Voltaire Tupas, Rappler, Bohol.
President Benigno Aquino says the government will use savings to provide relief services to earthquake victims in Central Visayas. On Monday, Aquino says the calamity fund is running dry because of the conflict between government troops and Muslim rebels in Zamboanga City and recent storms in the country. Aquino says 176 million pesos in calamity fund and 824 million pesos in a contingency fund remain, a total of about 1 billion pesos. The executive has about 20 billion pesos in savings. Government agencies are providing relief goods to affected areas in Bohol, with Social Welfare Department preparing 6.9 million pesos worth of food packs, water, and tents for Bohol. The Makati court, hearing the serious detention case against Janet Lim Napoles, agrees to let her appear at a Senate hearing on the pork barrel scam. This comes after the Senate issues a subpoena summoning the alleged pork barrel scam mastermind to appear before the Blue Ribbon Committee on November 7th. The court also orders security escorts for Napoles' travel to the Senate and back to her detention place in Fort Santo Domingo in Laguna. Leaders from different sectors at the Internet Governance Forum, or the IGF, held for the first time in Southeast Asia, say they're concerned about the mass surveillance done by the United States. Ai Makaraig files this video blog from Bali, Indonesia.
U.S. spies on 70 million phone calls in France. That's the headline that coincides with the opening of the Internet Governance Forum here in Bali, setting the tone for the world's leading forum on internet policy issues. 1,500 delegates from all over the world gathered here to discuss the role of the internet in development. But continued revelations of mass spying by the U.S. government dominate the speeches, workshops, and even informal conversations here at the IGF. During the opening session, leaders from the United Nations, Europe, civil society, and business say surveillance threatens efforts to promote a free and open internet. They say it undermines basic freedoms like privacy and free speech. But representatives of the U.S. government say they are taking the concerns very, very seriously, but these must not be used as a justification for a centralized control of the internet by some governments. All leaders push for a bottom-up, multi-stakeholder approach to internet governance to reflect the participative nature of the medium. During the workshops, internet enthusiasts cite efforts in the Philippines and Southeast Asia to use the internet for disaster risk reduction and open government.
As in Philippines, the internet infrastructure in Indonesia is not good, and when you see especially in the mountain, in the peak of the Merapi, so we barely have. It's so hard to find internet connection there. So combination between internet and lower technology is very important. So to distribute information during the disaster.
I think it's quite funny because your government is also part of the Open Government Partnership, and then you don't have the freedom of information law. I know that there are several government also, but so I guess you can use that as part of the, if you would like, as part of the road towards open government.
Amid the heated debate on surveillance, civil society groups say what must not be lost is that the internet should be used to benefit the disadvantaged, the illiterate indigenous peoples and developing nations, to ensure that the internet is not just free and open, but also accessible to all. Ayi Makaraig, Rappler, Bali, Indonesia.
Well, let's now look at Rappler's Wrap for today, a list of the 10 most important events around the world you shouldn't miss. At number 5, diplomats at a UN review of Saudi Arabia's human rights record criticizes the country for its continued use of the death penalty and discrimination against women. Women are still required to seek permission from male relatives to do basic things like leave the country. But Saudi Arabia's Human Rights Commission says the country made progress since the first review in 2009. The latest reviews come just over 3 weeks before Saudi Arabia's bid to secure a seat on the UN Human Rights Council. At number 6, U.S. President Barack Obama seeks to downplay fears that technical problems of the healthcare.gov website extends to his health law. Consumers unable to use the site to buy insurance plans are urged to apply by phone. Republican critics say the website's problems show deeper flaws in Obama's Affordable Care Act. While he concedes the website has serious technical issues, Obama says Republicans should, quote, stop rooting for the law's failure. And at number 9, France and Mexico demand answers from the United States over new allegations Washington tapped millions of phone calls. French daily Le Monde reports the U.S. National Security Agency secretly monitored 70.3 million phone calls in France in 2012. German magazine Der Spiegel says the NSA also hacked into former Mexican President Felipe Calderon's email account. U.S. State Secretary John Kerry does not comment on the accusations, but says Washington is reviewing its intelligence gathering operations. For the full top 10, visit Rappler.com's The Wrap. The movie Metro Manila had its international premiere in the 2013 Sundance Film Festival last January. The idea for the film happened here when British director Sean Ellis witnessed an argument between two truck drivers while he was on vacation in Manila. Jitonji reports.
I'm here for the advanced media screening of the film Metro Manila, a film directed by British director Sean Ellis. We're here to talk to the actors about the casting process and their experience on working on the film. Metro Manila is a film shot entirely in the Philippines with an all-Filipino cast, about a man who moves to the big city in search of a better life. Director Sean Ellis handpicked the Filipino actors. Indie actress Althea Vega says the filming was rigorous.
Sa yung experience ko with Sean, it takes for about 15 takes or mas madami pa yata yung paulit-ulit niyang pinapagawa, nakaka-drain ng energy. Technique kasi niya, gusto niyang iba-iba yung angle. Tinatry niya kasi Sean is very creative, so yun yung ano niya.
Okay, so
napaka-perfectionist niya.
It's the perfectionist in Ellis that helped the film bag the Audience Award at the 2013 Sundance Film Festival for the World Cinema Dramatic Division. Actor Jake Macapagal, originally hired as a production assistant, was surprised when Ellis chose him to play the title role of Oscar. He says winning at Sundance has become his good luck charm.
It opened doors for me. I don't know, I'm hoping that it will open doors for more actors.
A review on Rappler calls Metro Manila a poverty drama that morphs into a gritty crime thriller.
Because of the images and the way Sean had presented, this is a little bit different. And I can guarantee that after a film, you can count it as one of the better films that you've seen.
Angelina Capati plays Charlie, originally a male pimp character. Ellis transformed the role into a female mama-san after seeing her audition. Ellis chose to have all the actors translate his English script into Filipino.
Then I did my own version. I chose the words and everything. And that exact scene that I did in front of him became the scene itself in the film.
Capati says it took a British director to see the film through critical acclaim. But some fear the film will reinforce a negative image of the Philippines abroad, much like Dan Brown calling Manila the gates of hell.
Sometimes you just have to hammer at the truth. And Sean Ellis did a very brilliant work because he captured our kapit sa patalim mentality. It's sort of like we don't look beyond tomorrow.
Metro Manila is the official entry of the British Academy of Film and Television Arts to the Oscars for the Best Foreign Language Film category. Chitanji, Rappler Manila.
Metro Manila is still showing in theaters in Manila until Wednesday. Every story on Rappler has a mood meter, which gives you 8 emotions to choose from. Click how you feel, and your vote comes down to the mood navigator in the middle of the front page. That crowdsources the mood of the day. It also gives you the top 10 stories that have affected our viewers and readers the most emotionally. These 10 stories have gotten the most number of votes on their mood meters. If we take a look today, we still see that this Rappler exclusive, Napoles' 12 disciples in the House of Representatives, along with the rival NGOs, beat Napoles in the House. This, as you can tell, strangely enough, 53% angry and 42% inspired, but that angry taking center stage, story that's gotten the most number of votes. But the mood of the day is actually neither of these. It's this. It's sad and primarily driven by 2 stories. The leader of Sabah claimants dies, 93% sad, and the earthquake from a week and a day ago, aftershocks to last 3 weeks, for 13% afraid, 76% sad. The mood of the day, today, most people are sad. Well, that is Rappler's Newscast for today, Tuesday, October 22, 2013. Visit Rappler.com and watch our newscast Monday to Friday. Tell us how you feel on our mood meter and help us crowdsource the mood of the day. I'm Maria Ressa. As we say at Rappler, tomorrow begins today.